friends, and welcome to today's video. I am so excited for this video because, as you can see by the title, I'm taking you along with me on the journey of knitting a sweater. This feels a little silly because I am doing the same thing that I did basically last year around the same time. However, I think I learned a lot from that last kind of practice run, and my intention always was to re-knit this sweater with better quality yarn. The first one was like my first time knitting a pattern sweater, but I am a lot more hopeful for this run. We are going to be knitting the Cloud Sweater by Petit Knit. If you want to see my first attempt at it, let's just say I learned a lot during that process, but I've had almost a year of knitting and knitting different things and learning a lot since then, so I'm hoping that this one will turn out a lot better. The main thing is that I'm using the right type of yarn, so I'm going to be taking you guys along with me for the whole process of making it, and we are starting that process today. If you're working on a project with me during this video or working on any project in general, let me know in the comments what you've been making. And if you want to stay up to date with my live project updates, make sure to check out my other socials because I post a lot about projects and things I'm up to in my life over there. But other than that, let's get straight into knitting the sweater. It's been like a full year since I knit this pattern, so while I have learned new things with knitting, I don't remember this pattern at all, so I am anticipating making some mistakes and having some challenges, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it. So I have my 4.5mm needles, my 32-inch cables. These are the two yarns that I'm going to be knitting with together. I believe we start with the back yoke. Oh, frick, yeah. German short rows. I don't remember how to do that at all. I'm going to be making a size extra small also. This might be a little crazy trying this for a new project, but I'm going to try pulling the yarn from the inside. I always do it from the outside, and then my ball of yarn is rolling everywhere and it drives me nuts, and I just learned that it doesn't have to be that way. However, I am really nervous that this just seems like it'll get so tangled. Like, it's already tangled. I really don't want another horror story, guys. My last Cloud Sweater was like a hot mess. This is also only my second project that I've knit using mohair. Maybe this is setting myself up for failure a little bit. We have casted on our stitches. I'm like remembering how weird this pattern is because I already have to break the working yarn, which I don't know, just still feels wrong. But I can't imagine how weird this felt as like a first project. I'm really excited to see this work up though because this yarn combo is so soft. What the heck? I just took a 5-minute break because I watched some TikToks on how to do German short rows again, and it's kind of coming back to me. I think I can get it, but like starting me off on the hardest part. We're gonna have a go at it though. Might not be the wisest idea ever. So I think we're starting our German short rows. So I'm gonna start placing stitch markers so that I can count it correctly. Ugh, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I'm doing my first German short row. Wish me luck. Okay, need my comfort TikTok. I can't get over how like soft this yarn is to knit with. It makes it a whole different experience. I'm feeling good about this. I think I did that right. I don't know. Oh, okay. I've made a little bit of progress. I'm so sorry about the noise outside. I don't know how much the camera's picking it up, but I swear it's been on and off all day, and I swear it only happens as soon as I start talking. We're gonna just have to talk through it because I'm excited to show you that I think I figured out the German short rows pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I can link the TikTok that I followed because I think that those both helped me understand it like conceptually a lot better, which made doing it and integrating it work a lot better. It might also partially be the yarn because I think having the mohair to kind of fill in the gap shows like less holes and mistakes. Not that I know if I've made any mistakes yet, but it's coming together pretty nicely. We're getting that kind of like trapezoid look. We have a little bit more to go on the ends. Really happy about this like pulling from the center method. It's kind of like, what the heck was I doing before, chasing my freaking ball of yarn rolling around my apartment. I also totally forgot to talk about the yarns that I'm using, but I ordered from Lind Hobby for the main yarn I'm using, which is Drops Air, and I'm using it in the color 5, which is a nice like light brown. And then this is what actually led me to this project and this colorway. I got this brown mohair from the most amazing thrift haul I've ever had in my life. I talked about it so much, I think in like multiple YouTube and short form videos, because it was actually, I kid you not, I was giddy about this thrift haul for the next like week. But I went thrifting just on a random day. Actually, it wasn't a random day. I still vividly remember it. It was Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve's Eve. And I went on a Costco run with my dad and we were like waiting to pick up a prescription. So my dad's a thrifter. He was like, yeah, let's go to the thrift store. Okay. And we almost didn't go because we were at a coffee shop and we were kind of like, we could go to the thrift store or we could just hang out at this coffee shop. We almost didn't go, but boy, oh boy, if we didn't go, I would have missed out on a heck of a lot, because after my thrifting, my typical thrifting routine of looking through all the clothes, I don't know what got into me, but this day I decided to look at the yarn section, which I usually don't do. I think the main thing is just that when I go thrifting, it's usually mainly for clothes or home decor. And so I'm already like thrifted out and my cart is full and like I spent more money than I planned on, and then I just like forget about yarn. But also sometimes I'm a little bit like nervous about thrifting yarn just because of like pests, or I don't know, like it could be dirty, like how to clean it properly. But this day I decided to go look, and this was the most stock yarn section at a thrift store I've ever seen in my life. It was quite crazy, to be honest. They had a ton of knitting for Olive, they had a ton of mohair, and they had 4 spools of this is what I'm using. I'll write it all and like link it in the description too. It's in the color Cocoa, but this Bernice mohair, extra thin, in this beautiful brown color. I also got white mohair and I got white merino wool. Like it was crazy, and all of it was like new, untouched with the packaging. I was so in shock, and I immediately just started brainstorming all the things that I was going to make out of it, and this is the conclusion that I came to. It was like, yeah, I'm going to use this to make my cloud sweater, which saved me a lot of money. Otherwise mohair is so expensive. So that is my little ramble about how I chose my yarns and my colors. But I do love me a brown sweater, and I don't have one this color, so I think this will be a really nice staple piece if it turns out the way that I am hoping and praying it does. Supposed to be 3¼ inches. Wait, perfect. She's so curly you can't really tell, but I finished doing my German short rows and I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. Also, I didn't even show you up close, but this is what the colors are looking like from my combo of yarns over here. For the back yoke, we're basically just going to be doing stockinette for, I think we measure it in inches, but I think I'm just going to be doing stockinette for like kind of a while, which I'm looking forward to. It is the next day and I just measured my work and it's at about 5.5 inches from the center of the top down to my cable. I'm supposed to knit until it is about double that. I want to be at about 10.25 inches, which is perfect because I'm about to pack up my knitting supplies and head to a cafe. I don't want to overshoot it, but I think I'll be able to get there kind of quickly. I don't really know. I feel like it's been working out pretty fast, especially if I'm like knitting while yapping. I get so proud of myself when I set a goal and I overachieve it with my knitting. I was in fact able to finish the back yoke. So it's measuring over 10 inches right now. I basically just knit stockinette for a really long time, which was perfect for a cafe day because I did not have a single thought going through my head. I did a little bit of increasing for the armholes and then put it onto, actually I left it on the cables and used these. A little trick that I don't think I knew about the last time I was making this sweater. So every single time I would like use a tapestry needle, thread it off onto a separate piece of yarn, which was not the most efficient way to do things by any means. I then picked up some stitches. I finished the left shoulder. It was a little bit confusing with the short rows, but I watched a video on TikTok that was super helpful, so I'll link that below. I think I'm watching the same lady explaining the steps of making the cloud sweater, which is really helpful because there's just like little parts where like I don't really know what's going on. Finished doing my right shoulder also, and so the next step is the fun part. It's connecting both of the shoulders because it's going to be like this, and we're going to cast on some extra stitches to connect the right shoulder to the left shoulder. I've used up a decent amount of this first ball of Drops Air. It's kind of like falling apart. This is pretty much still intact. Was once again not making sense to me, so I had to watch a TikTok video, but now I think I get it. I have to pull this shoulder, gosh, it's a mess. I have to pull this shoulder back onto the needles, which this tubing stuff, I forgot what it's even called, but this is also such a life changer. You just stick it and then you can pick up your stitches so fast. Like that's, quite frankly, that's amazing. And ta-da, just like that, back on the needle. Genius. This is starting to get annoying. I keep thinking that I'm gonna be done with doing the German short rows, but then they just keep coming back. Something I'm realizing from knitting this is that it is so much more fun to knit something when it's really soft. Not just because I'm more excited to wear the item because it's soft, but also like the actual act of knitting and like holding and touching the yarn. A lot more pleasant when you're not using fisherman's wool. Actually able to knit a good amount today. After connecting the left and right shoulder, I've been able to do a couple of rows. However, I feel like I usually get a lot done when we're watching a movie, but right now we're watching a movie that's in Korean and Japanese, so I'm probably knitting at like 20% speed, but we're still getting somewhere. Supposed to knit, oops, I think until these are about the same length. I used up my first ball of the Drops Air yarn. I'm about to go meet a friend at a cafe and we're gonna knit together. I'm hoping to finish however many inches, I forgot, it's just like an inch measurement, but I'm hoping to finish the amount of inches for the front, and then by then I think we'll just be working in the round for the body, which is like the biggest section. a solid like 2 hours of knitting. I think today I did a little bit too much yapping. Or maybe it wasn't even the yapping. Maybe I just overestimated myself, which you guys know I have my thing with that also. But I was just knitting the front part of my sweater and I did get some work done. So I am happy about that. I'm not quite sure, dang it. My ball got all messed up. I measured it at the cafe. I think I have 1 or 2 more inches to go, basically until these are like the same length. Then we connect them for the armholes. So I wasn't planning on knitting more tonight, but we just put on a movie. So of course I'm gonna have to knit. We have good news and bad news. This is actually my first time doing this. Finished the front panel, it measured the right length, and then I was doing a couple increases for the armholes, and I like actually don't know what happened. I think this is my first like relatively big mistake, or my first mistake that I know of on the sweater so far. So I'm gonna have to undo, I think I'll just undo, I can't even tell. I think I'll undo 1 row. It's kind of hard to tell with the mohair, but I think I forgot to make an increase on one of the sides because I'm 1 stitch short from how many stitches I'm supposed to have on the front. I counted on the back and I did do that one correctly, but once I figure this out, then I will be ready to connect the front and back panels, which means I'll just be working in the round for the body after that. But we have to figure this part out first, which means I have to undo kind of, not a lot, but I have to undo some work and figure some things out. So not the best update, actually not a good update at all. I undid my work and then I counted my stitches, and basically something is deeply wrong with this much earlier than I realized, which is weird because I counted at all the points when you're supposed to count. And so I think I probably did something wrong with a German short row and like dropped a stitch somehow. I don't know. Honestly, I probably won't. I mean, I don't think at all I will be able to notice the 1 stitch missing, but it will just bother me because I was kind of thinking, should I just like add in another stitch somewhere, or should I just have 1 stitch less than I'm supposed to? That's what I think I've decided on. I'm just gonna have 1 stitch less than I'm supposed to, which honestly, actually maybe I should add it in. Yeah, because I'm a little bit worried that's gonna be a problem later on when I'm doing ribbing or other things. I don't know. I have to think about it a little more, but basically something's wrong here. I'm missing a stitch. It's not the end of the world, but it's still, oh, and now I'm dropping stitches again. But it's time to connect the front and the back. Yeah, this just doesn't sit right with me though. Something's wrong. Yeah, that was a huge waste of time because I undid my work and then I looked at it and I was like, no, I increased correctly. Not good, not good update. Since the last time I talked to you, when I was like a little bit crashing out because I had the wrong amount of stitches on the front, I just decided to add a random one under like one of the arms. Since then, it's been pretty much fine because I've just been knitting in the round. I've gotten like a little bit done since I've connected it. The shape is definitely coming together. Today, I'm gonna be doing a 10-hour knitting session, and so I'm hoping to get a lot done on the sweater. my belly button is like right about where this is, but I definitely want this to be past my belly button. I probably want it to be about the same length as this white shirt. So maybe another 2 inches would be good. Stop here. We're gonna do the ribbing and then you do 4 more rows. We only have 20 minutes left until we hit the 10-hour mark. We have the entire body finished and I'm so excited to try this on. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, let's see how much we can get done on the sleeve in like 20 minutes. We just hit the 10-hour mark. As I think you just saw, I did another knitting kind of challenge where I worked on this for a full 10 hours. As you can see by how just like full my bag is, like this does not fit in my knitting purse anymore. So now when I walk around, I have to bring this big pouch and then I also bring my knitting bag, which, you know, makes sense that it wouldn't fit in my little purse anymore because we have a full, like, I would say the sweater is over halfway done, maybe. I don't really know. Here is the reveal. Would you take a look at this? It's actually my first time taking it out since I've been working on the sleeve. I worked on the sleeve a good amount last night. I actually watched football in it, which was a new experience for me. During my 10-hour knitting day, I was able to finish the whole body. I made it a little bit shorter, like an inch shorter than what the pattern listed, just because I like a little bit of a more cropped sweater. So you can see like when a little shirt is peeking underneath and stuff. I just picked up for the sleeve and have been working on that. The only thing is I've been doing not a magic loop, but I've been like pulling my needle around and knitting, which I actually don't remember what I did last time. It hasn't been ideal and I've been so on the verge of buying short needles, but now it just keeps getting like too late. Like now I'm this far into a sleeve and I feel like if I order short needles and then I switch them out, it might change my tension, or like, I don't know, it just feels kind of wrong switching mid-project. But guys, I'm so close. Oh my gosh, my ring almost flew off. That is terrifying. Let's keep on working on our sleeve. tried it on yet since I've started the sleeve. It actually feels a lot better than I thought it was going to. We might finish this like a little sooner than I'm anticipating just because the pattern has me doing almost like double this, but I do like my sleeves a little bit shorter, slash maybe I just have shorter arms, so I don't think I'm gonna have to do a full double. This is really comforting. It's so nice when you try something on and it makes you feel better, not worse. Where are my scissors? Oh my gosh, it's so hairy inside of my knitting bag right now. Let's try it on. It's really coming together. I think it's perfect. Well, I think it's perfect right now, so hopefully it doesn't stretch too much when I block it. I think it's perfect. Oh my gosh. But I'm so happy. And it is really warm, I can say, now that I have one sleeve. I recently just started on the second sleeve. Ta-da! It's looking like a real sweater now, which is so exciting. It's so big that I'm at the point of it basically stays in this pouch. While I work on the sleeve, I just pull the sleeve out like this. Pull my little drawstrings tight, and then I can just work on my sleeve, which has been fun to see come along. However, I will admit I'm not a fan of doing it with these long needles. I really wish that I invested in some short needles before making this sweater. And I feel like there are little gaps where I kind of like stretch the hole out more than I should because I'm doing it kind of in this like magic loop-ish method. But it's okay. I'm sure once I block it and everything, it won't be noticeable at all. Made some pretty good progress. Based on my stitch markers, I think I am 2/3 of the way done with this sleeve about, or 2/3 of the way done until I add my ribbing and then my final knit stitches before binding off, which honestly this sleeve has been like really breezing by. I don't know if you guys relate, but I feel like the second of anything goes by so much faster. The second sleeve is always way easier than the first. But one thing I've been thinking about is so this is how much yarn I have left, right, for my mohair, and then I have one more ball of mohair. This is how much I have of the drops air, and I have plenty of that left over, but I actually think I have much more yarn than I anticipated having left over. So I've already been kind of like brainstorming what I'm gonna do with the rest of it. I don't know, like obviously I would rather have too much yarn than not enough, but then I'm kind of like, all this excess yarn from every single project definitely adds up and I don't know what to do with it. You know what, we should actually do a little check-in because I'm kind of curious. Like keep in mind I have 1/3 of one sleeve left and then the collar, and that's it. Probably not even gonna finish this. Like what the heck? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I swear I counted them right too. I don't really know how it works when they write the amount of grams you need. Okay guys, upon a little more digging into Ravelry and other people's completed projects, I think I figured out what I did wrong, but I still don't really understand how I was supposed to know. This wasn't one of her recommended yarns. She suggested 2 different yarns or a third yarn held together with mohair. And I looked up the third yarn. Okay, now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like I sound a little silly, but I looked up the third yarn that was held together with mohair and it looked similar to this. So I assume that was the right amount of grams that I needed. So that's definitely where I went wrong, but like, how am I supposed to know how many grams I'm gonna need? Maybe all the yarns kind of look the same. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to just look at what people on Ravelry do, because after I looked on Ravelry, someone who made the same size with this yarn used less. So like if I found that earlier, I would know to buy less. I don't know. It's okay. I'm not mad about having too much, especially because it's just this nice brown color. Like I'll definitely use it, and like I already decided what I think I'm gonna use it for next. So I'm honestly kind of excited about that. We basically have a full sweater. I think I've knit to the right amount of stitch markers to match the other sleeve here, so I'm gonna try it on just to be safe, and then we'll be able to do the ribbing and the bind off. And then the last thing we have is just the collar, which I don't really remember, but I feel like that goes by pretty quick. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Guys, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I think I finally made something that I'm actually gonna wear like a lot. I think this will be a genuine staple in my closet, especially because I was able to make it to fit me kind of like the length and, you know, exactly how I want it. And I'm surprised, it's so soft. I could wear this even like without an undershirt. I'm honestly amazed. So as you can see here, I'm just gonna finish off with the ribbing, and then this sleeve will be done. Then we'll figure out this collar. Getting a lot more done on this sweater than I expected, and I'm not mad about it. I have no idea how long this part of it is going to take, but I don't know. I've been knitting up a storm this weekend, so who knows? Maybe we'll be able to finish this relatively soon. Picking up stitches is kind of like hit or miss for me. I feel like sometimes I can get in a kind of good rhythm. Sometimes it's an actual nightmare. So let's just hope it's the first option for today. My neck is slowly but surely coming along. It's supposed to measure a little over 2 inches, so I just have a little bit more to go, but I think I'm gonna finish this. Maybe not the weaving in the ends, but I think I'm gonna finish the sweater so that it's at least try-onable tonight. I'm so happy to report that I just finished the net. I'm excited to try this on. I think this completes the whole thing. Oh my gosh. We have a finished sweater. I think this might be the best I felt about any project I've made. I followed the instructions and I think it turned out pretty darn well. I do hope that this like collar kind of relaxed a little bit after I block it. It's kind of like, it's like really curly or it's really like stiff, you know? I do have 1,000,001 ends to weave in, so that's gonna be a whole day, a whole project. But oh my gosh, it is everything. I hoped it would be in more. I am so excited to finish this fully so that I can wear it. All right, so the game plan now is to weave in the 1,000,001 ends I told you about and to block it. But for the sake of this video, which is probably over 5 hours of footage already because I filmed the entire process of making this beautiful sweater, I'm gonna speed through the weaving in the ends and the blocking process. So I will see you guys after we have a finished sweater. Okay guys, this is a big moment. My sweater is freshly blocked. We have to try it on. Okay, not gonna lie, it's still a little bit damp, but I'm being so impatient. Oh my gosh. I think it's perfect. I'm really happy. It didn't grow too much, but it kind of just relaxed from the blocking. Like I feel like the ends, the collar, the bottom here just lays a lot more naturally. I am so happy about this and it feels so good to be like genuinely content with how a project turns out. Like I know I'm gonna wear this and not only am I gonna wear it, but I'm gonna wear the heck out of it because it is the perfect length for me. I'm so happy. It's also, yes, it's a little damp still, but it's so soft. I know it's gonna be so comfy and oh my gosh, I'm just really, really happy with how this turned out. Okay, well, I think this is the best way to end off a video now. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this whole process of knitting a sweater. I'm so happy to say that since last year, we really turned things around and redeemed ourselves with this cloud sweater. I already started importing the footage for this video and I have over like 150 gigabytes of filming from this because it was a whole, when did I start this? I wrote it down. On the 14th. Okay, so it took me about 3 weeks to make this, which I don't think is too bad. But I'm gonna end off this video here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me on this long process of knitting a sweater. Other than that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.